Hey guys, I hope everybody's doing well. Today we're talking about the imminent stock split of Tesla in 2020, and we'll do that by first going through an understanding of a stock split. So we'll go through the definition of a stock split, and then we'll talk about the two different types of a split that exist, which is one is a forward split and the other is a reverse split. And then we'll go through examples from the past for companies such as Apple and Priceline, and go through the strategy of these two companies on why they went through a stock split, and then we'll use that understanding that we gain here as a jumping point into Tesla and understanding why I think Tesla will go through a stock split in 2020. Basically, there are arguments for a split and then arguments against a stock split, and I'll walk you through why I think there are more reasons for going through a split than against. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to walk you through which ratio or a split ratio is most likely to happen. And there are a couple of different reasons why you'll be interested in this video. One is if you're a Tesla investor like me in 2020, and two is if you're a financial professional or a finance student and want to simply learn more about stock split. So without further ado, let's dive right in. But first, if you're new to this channel, welcome. My name is Bill Hanna and I'm the financial controller. I've been in finance for the last 15 years. I've put together tens, if not hundreds, of financial statements, and I've provided commentary on those statements to both investors and to management. And this channel is all about putting together this knowledge and the summary of it and commenting on things like stock investing, fraud cases, and finance career advice. So if you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe so that you can follow this journey and you receive my videos on your inbox on a weekly basis. And with that being said, let's talk about stock split. So what is a stock split? A stock split is simply the company changing the number of shares that are outstanding, either increasing that number of shares or decreasing the number of shares outstanding. And so there are two basic types of a stock split. One is a forward split and the other is a reverse split. With a forward split, the company is increasing the number of shares that are outstanding, and that is usually the case when the price of the stock has gone up so much that it's become more expensive for investors to get into the stock. And so the company would want to split that into many shares so that more investors can afford to buy the stock. Now, when you do that, or when a company does that, it doesn't really increase the market cap or doesn't change the market value of the company. The market value or the market capitalization of the company is the same. It's all a matter of perception. So the company share here, and the example that we have is Apple in 2014 has done a 7-for-1 stock split, which means that each share that was valued at the time for $6.56, they split that one share into 7 shares. Each one is valued at $93. And so when you own one share at $6.56 and suddenly you have 7 shares, it doesn't mean that you own more of the company. You still have the same ownership in the company, which is 1 share, but now you have it in the form of 7 shares. Now compare this scenario here with a reverse split, and this usually takes place with a company that has a declining stock price and the perception of the public or the investors that the stock has become dangerously low priced. And so in this example that we have here is Priceline in 2003, and that was fresh out of the dot-com bubble of 2000, where the stock has been declining and reaching almost single digits, actually went into single digit territory and reached almost $1 per share. And so the company wanted to consolidate. And so a reverse split, what it is a consolidation of multiple shares to make 1 share. In this case, it's a 1-for-6. So this is a 1-for-6 split, which means if you own 6 shares of Priceline, now this consolidated into 1 share, and now you own 1 share. Again, the same as with forward split, it doesn't change the value of the company and it doesn't change the percentage that you own in that company. All it does is that it changes the perception. Most companies will do it for the perception of the investor, whether in this case they want to inflate that perception of a stock price, or here reduce the entry level or the entry price for investors so that more investors can get into the stock. And in some cases, and rarely, a company would do a stock split or a reverse split to stay listed on a certain exchange, because some exchanges will have a threshold or a limit on the price that a company stock price cannot go under that threshold to stay listed within that exchange. And so the solution, if your stock price has been declining so much as a company, is to do a reverse split and consolidate multiple shares into one share. Again, doesn't change your ownership in the company, it's only the perception of the stock price. Okay, so now that we talked about the definition of a stock split, and we talked about a couple different examples from the past, such as Apple and Priceline, I want to use that knowledge and jump into Tesla's case here and talk about why I think Tesla will have a stock split in 2020 in the later half of the year. And the way I lay this out is talking about the argument for a stock split and then the argument against the stock split. So let's begin by looking at the argument for a stock split. And the first point that I got is regarding the age of the investors. And just reading through investor forums and reading the commentary on Tesla videos and articles, it's becoming more and more clear to me that the age of the investors, or the people who are investing in the stock, that there is a big chunk of the younger generation that's invested in Tesla stock. And as long as the price per share is so high as it is today, which is at the time of filming this video is about $1,500, this is a very expensive price to get into for the younger generation. So the perception of owning one share, it's a very high price. And that's one thing that Elon and the board of directors must realize and know, that if they lower the price or go through a stock split, they will make the stock more accessible to more of the younger generation, because obviously the younger you are, the less access to capital you have and the lower income generally. And so you want to have the stock price go down so that more people can be invested in the stock. And the second point that I got here is regarding Elon Musk himself. As of recently, somebody had asked him on Twitter whether he would consider a stock split, and he responded to it. And he's very selective, obviously, on which Twitter messages he would respond to. He responded to this one, and he said that it's worth discussing at the shareholder meeting. And so he responded to it. He's considering it. I think it's something that puts it here at the side for argument for a split. The third point that I got is regarding the share price. As of late, has been climbing and breached the $1,000 level, and it has gone as high as of recently, I think, over $1,700. And so the huge climb as of late of the Tesla share price will definitely help make the case for the stock split, and is very reminiscent to what happened with Apple in 2013, 2014, with the climb in their share price, and help make the case for their stock split. And I think that would help in this case as well. And then last but not least is the low risk of a reversal. I think this is an argument for going through a stock split, is that there's now a low risk or low chance of a stock reversal, with the target price or the median target price for Tesla now being increased so much, up to 700 and change. Now there is a low risk for the stock to reverse, because obviously as a company you would worry that if you split your shares and the stock took a reversal, then your shares will go even further down. And so now with the price target estimates, or the median price target estimate being in the 700s, that decreases that chance there. And that's the fourth reason why I think the company will go through a stock split. And now if we move over to the other side, which is the argument against having a stock split, the first point I got is the admin work. Because obviously if Tesla goes through a stock split, there will be a bunch of work to be done, both by the accountants at Tesla and the people who work at the banks who are holding, or the custodians for the share for Tesla, will have to go through some admin work in recording the transaction and keeping track of the number of shares outstanding. And so the admin work would be one. And then the second would be the idea of the sophisticated investor versus the average Joe. So as a company, who do you want to be invested in your shares? Do you want more sophisticated investors or more of an average investor? And the famous example for the sophisticated investor case would be Berkshire Hathaway, because this company with Warren Buffett has seen its share price climb in the tens of thousands of dollars without splitting. And the reason why Warren Buffett usually talks about the idea of having more sophisticated investors as his shareholders, and that would give him less hassle and more streamlined shareholder meetings, versus having average Joe investors, which is the case with Tesla. But I think that Tesla would rather have more of the average Joe, the investors, because these are the same people who are rallying behind the mission of Tesla, And so these are the arguments for the stock split and against it. And all in, I think that there are much more compelling reasons here for the arguments for a stock split. One of the strongest one, Elon being recognizing that on Twitter and putting it up for vote with the shareholder meeting. And so this is why I think the stock will definitely go through a split in 2020. Now, when the stock actually goes through a split, there are three likely ratio or split ratios that I think could take place in this case. And these are a 10-for-1 split, a 20-for-1, and a 30-for-1. And in the first case here, in a 10-for-1, the share price would be $150, and I'm using the most recent share price as of today, the time we're recording this video, which is $1,500 per share. So a 10-for-1 will yield $150 per share. A 20-for-1 would be a $75 per share, which that would be the new share price, and a 30-for-1 would have a new share price of $50 per share. And I think that the scenario that is most likely to happen in this case is the 20-for-1 ratio. And the reason for that is because in the case with 10-for-1, the new share price would be $150. For me, that's still a little bit more expensive because it's above the $100. You know, like when you go to buy a new pair of shoes or a new item from the mall, retailers have a trick which is putting the price right below $100, so like $99.99. So that's the psychological level, the $100. I think Tesla would most likely, if they go through the pain of a stock split, they will most likely go all the way in and go below $100 psychological threshold and go for a 20-for-1, which would be $75 per share. The reason why I think it's less likely to go for the 30-for-1 stock split, which would make a new share price of $50, is because if we go this low, and if you go as low as $50 per share after the split, and then a pullback happens, like the pullback that took place earlier in the year when the stock went back to the $400 level, this will potentially dangerously go down below in the single digits, and that will be a bad outcome for the company and a bad look. And so I think that's why this here, the 20-for-1 ratio, is the most likely to happen. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below which scenario you think is most likely to happen, the 10-for-1, 20-for-1, or 30-for-1, or maybe some other ratio that you can think of. And if you like this video, hit the like button. That will help the YouTube gods bless this video and help our channel. And if you are new to this channel, go ahead and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any of the videos that I put out weekly. And I'll see you in the next one.